Shalom, everybody. This is Sephora from artisticministry.net, and I just wanted to do this quick video to just share some insight and hopefully some inspiration on something that's really kind of just like is weighing, just weighing on my spirit right now, and that is I since I found out, the full magnitude of what's going on with this targeting, that that it's not just me and a couple of a handful of people in isolated parts of the country that are dealing with this, but the truth of the matter is that it's very widespread. And I've been just the Most High just blessed me with giving me just that information, and pointing me to a wealth of information that I can use as like a resource to help me. And that's really what's been happening. I've been um, the majority of the people who have subscribed to my channel. I've been checking out your videos, and many of them have just been insightful and informative, and they've helped me out. And so this is just a way, me doing these videos is a way of reciprocating just my appreciation. And because all of us who are surviving this, we whatever it is that we're doing to survive, okay, to make it through and endure, those are little grains of inspiration, and insight that can help someone else. And so even though it might not, while we're in the thick of the battle, it might not seem like, what we're doing is something that can be of value to someone else, it can be. And so basically what happened is I stumbled upon a woman's channel. This is a sister from Northern California. Her channel is called God Our Protector, and she does just a lot of videos that have just been really they've just really been inspiring for me, and just informative, and just affirming, confirming just things that I've noted, and my experience being stalked, and so that was really good. But she did a video about a week ago. I found it this today, but it was done about a week ago, and it was she was talking about a woman who had who was a targeted individual who had just apparently just reached the end of a rope, and she was I guess somewhere near a cliff, and I guess was like talking about possibly jumping, committing suicide. And the woman who has the site God is Our Protector, right? Her name is Renata, and so she did not put up a link to the video or the woman's name or anything, because she didn't want to possibly create some type of a trickle down effect where somebody else, targeted individual, might see the video and get also depressed, and possibly try and do something to themselves too. She didn't want to do that. And so I appreciate and respect her for that. And so just listening to what she was talking about, just sharing how California is an area that is, in terms of gang stalking, it's very organized. A lot of it, apparently there's a lot of like communities that are literally involved in it, where you have individuals in the community who are forming up, who are stalking people, and I guess recruiting people to do it, and justifying it, in some kind of weird way, where I guess some of the perpetrators who are doing it feel somehow justified, that I don't know, I mean, the law enforcement is involved in it. Apparently it's a lot more organized and effective in California than in other parts of the country. And so she was, talking about that, and that just, just I don't know. Sometimes that just like weighs, you know, heavy on the spirit. Just when you just that a sister would reach that point, where she would literally be, literally verbalizing and talking about, ending her life behind, being stalked and being just tormented and harassed by these people. And apparently, no one is for sure if she actually did it, because no one knew where she was at. She was filming this. She was filming herself on I guess on a cliff somewhere, but she didn't say where it was at or anything like that. And she just simply, I guess, at the end of the video, she just simply said goodbye, and closed the phone. And so I guess there's been no confirmation as to whether or not she did it. And so that was just really it was frustrating and it was kind of disheartening, but it's the Most High, is really, I'm just really grateful that He's in my life, because what He did was, so check this out. So I was like, on YouTube, a few hours after that, just going through, and I checked my own channel out, because on the little notifications, it notified me that someone had left a comment on the most recent video that I did. What is at your core? And a fellow, his channel is called the Badger Report, and so I clicked on his name. That's how I get some of the just these inspiring videos, and his was one of them. It was a video that he was did on the Beatitudes, and that was just really, it was just really appreciated. And so one of the things that he did was he read from the Beatitudes in Matthew and the Beatitudes in Luke. And so when I was reading along with him, and so the one in Matthew, one of the verses really stood out for me, because it's a verse that I had read from a completely different perspective just a month ago, because I was looking at something else, and a book by a minister, and he had referenced this verse also in terms of something else. So I'm going to share that, because I think that it's a tool that especially if you were raised in a Christian household or a Christian community, you're aware of it. But I don't think that it's really talked about in many mainstream Christian, organized Christian churches, as an actual tool, or a weapon, depending on which words you want to use, which perspective you want to use, to deal with gang stalking, or to deal with being targeted. And that is Matthew. It's the Beatitudes, Matthew chapter 5, verse number 6, and it says, "Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled." And the minister used this in reference to fasting. Okay, that when we fast, we are hungering and thirsting for righteousness. We are literally going hungry. We are literally, depending on the type of fast that you're doing, and the intensity of it, also going thirsty, and we're doing it for a righteous reason. We're doing it for a righteous cause. It could be for a health reason. It could be in support of someone else. It could be for what, in terms of stalking and targeting, it could be for protection. It could be for guidance. But either way, it's righteous in the sense that we're making a choice to deny ourselves food, to deny ourselves water, or liquids, as opposed to going out, getting upset, getting angry, confronting our perpetrators, or, in the case of this woman, reaching the point where we would, take our own lives, possibly take our own lives, and give these perpetrators, okay, satisfaction. Okay, so it is righteous in that sense. But so that is one of the Beatitudes, okay, to hunger and thirst after righteousness, to purposefully go hungry, to purposefully go thirsty for a righteous cause. That is a weapon. That is a tool. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but it is definitely one that I have used, and it works. As there's another minister who I listened to a lot of his videos and sermons and such, and he described fasting as literally marching into the camp of the enemy. That it is very powerful. And another individual, Miles Monroe, he spoke a lot on fasting, and he pointed out that when you fast, either, okay, he said during the fast, but this other brother, minister Ewan, was saying a lot of times after the fast, immediately after the fast, you will experience an increase, sometimes in spiritual attacks, or you will experience an increase in what Miles Monroe called angelic activity. Okay, because you have caught the attention of the Most High. You've caught the attention of those malachim, or the Hebrew word is malachim or malach. The English word they use is is angel, but the actual Hebrew word, it's messenger, which would be malak or malakim. But you've caught their attention, and so all of us, those of us who are heirs of salvation, we are. There is a certain number of malakim, okay, angels that have been assigned to us, and so when we fast, we catch their attention, and they're a lot more attentive to us, and they'll be there to help us, to guide us, and I definitely experienced that. On the other hand, I've also, I have noticed, that right after the attack, it's like the enemy, you know, gets really angry because it's like he's just been in a fist fight. Another minister that I can never pronounce his name. He's a Gentile fellow. Um, his name is like Janetson. I cannot pronounce his name, so I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't want to say it wrong. But he has a book. I didn't bring the book with me. I wish that I had, because I would show it to you. But he speaks a lot about fasting, and he makes an interesting point. And he says, and I wrote it down. I have a journal, that I keep, because it's a way to just, journaling is also another way to get a form of release, to not always have to just carry all of this. Sometimes just writing it down is a way to, just like let the burden, lighten the load a little bit. But he points out, it's a quote from his book. Fasting is not a Christian diet unless you put prayer with your fasting. There is no need to fast. Merely doing without food is just starving. When you fast, focus on prayer and on the Most High's word. Okay, so fasting and prayer, and that's something that we as Netzarim, okay, Netzarim, that's the word people use Christian, but the Messiah, he said that we were branches, okay, and that he was the vine, and that the Father is the husbandman. So the Hebrew word for branch is Netzarim, singular, Netzarim, plural. We are branches, but as believers, as followers, as branches, we are to fast, and fasting is a way to we get it gives us strength on an internal level. It's hard to explain, but the Hebrew word for fasting, what that's really talking about is literally covering your mouth to deny yourself, to cover your mouth to deny yourself of food. Okay, but the idea that an insight, that I had during a previous fast was, when I fast, I'm closing one door to open another door right here. you know and because there's a lot of insight and there's a lot of strength that's gained, because as Miles Monroe pointed out, um, there are like three basic primitive instincts or functions that we will always do, and we will always have the instinct or the primitive drive to have sex, to eat, and to drink. Everything else stems from either those three, or it's something else, but basically those are the three. And so to be able to deny yourself purposefully, to literally choose to literally deny and ignore and shut down those three basic primitive instincts or drives, and to do it for a sustained amount of time, not just for a couple of hours. I mean, though it can start with a couple of hours in terms of denying yourself food and denying yourself of liquids, okay, but to extend that on purpose for a day, for 2 days, for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, so forth and so on. That is strength. And what that translates to is, even when after you've done the fast, after you have successfully done a fast, everything else is so easy. Trust me. If you literally, because you can literally say, hey, I just went 3 days of my own free will and choice without food. These fools over here, what they're doing, I can handle that. I got this. The Most High will give you that. It's a strength that you get. Like I said, Minister Ewing said that you are literally marching into the camp of the enemy. You're like, yo, what's up, man? What? What? You got something to say? I mean, you are literally marching into his camp while he's been asleep, startling him. He can't even, whoa, whoa. I mean, you've seen the movies, different war movies where all of a sudden, um, one side is able to penetrate and they get into the camp of the enemy and they catch them off guard. And I mean, it's like that. But he said that's what fasting it's like. He said it's literally marching through the camp of the enemy and going right to the front gates. And they literally are scrambling. They don't even have time. They don't even know what to do. Okay. So I just wanted to put that out there in terms of as a way to get some strength, especially if there is anyone out there who is feeling like you know they can't go on, or they just can't make it through. Because this is the thing, you can also fast for someone else. So if you know of someone who is being targeted, or maybe it's not even someone that's being targeted, maybe you just have a friend who's dealing with something. Maybe they're trying to maybe they're having financial difficulty, maybe they're having health problems. You can fast for them. Okay, you can literally fast. Start with the prayer and say, Heavenly Father, I am fasting. I am literally going to fast and sacrifice these 3 meals or these 6 meals for so and so who is dealing with, trying to get a job, or whatever. Please strengthen and help her or help him, and please accept my fast. And in exchange, please bless her. Please bless him. I mean, you can do it for someone else. So it's amazing, and it is so subtle because all you're literally doing is covering your mouth and not eating. That's it. Maybe covering your mouth and maybe not drinking. But I would encourage you to really think about that, to look at that, because it's powerful. It really is. It's something that I've done, that I have struggled with, and really worked at getting better at, and I have improved on with fasting, and I'm there's always room for more growth, and so that's definitely something that I am doing, and I'm probably going to do another part to this one because I want to share with you just one of the areas that I did use it in my life, and it's all now that I know the name for this, it's connected, of course, to being targeted. Okay, but there was one other part that I wanted to share, and that is the guy from the Badger Report. He also read one of the Beatitudes from the chapter of Luke, chapter 6, and he started. It's in Luke. It's not chapter 6. I'm sorry. It's Luke. Yeah, it is. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, Luke chapter 6, and it's the Beatitudes starting at verse 22. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice ye in that day, and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. For in the like manner did their fathers unto the prophets. Now, again, as he pointed out, and he was so right on, that is many of us know what that is like. Where we are being literally persecuted, where we are being separated, where they isolate us. Okay, and because we know who we are, because we are choosing to live a righteous life, to pray, to keep the commandments, to stand up boldly to immorality, to stand up boldly to cruelty, okay, to injustice. We know that this is happening for righteousness' sake. That they are doing to this because they are doing this to us because we are righteous. Okay, so we know what that's like, and I think that the key point in that is at the very end of verse 22. For the Son of Man's sake. Now we know the Son of Man is, you know, our Master, our King, Messiah. Okay, Yahushua, who the world mistakenly calls Jesus, but his name is Yahushua. But that's who it's being done for, because we are followers of him. He is the vine, we are the branches. We are standing up boldly to injustice. We are standing up boldly to immorality. We are purposefully keeping the commandments in a society where adultery and fornication and robbery and drug addiction and selling drugs, where it is all being encouraged. So we're standing up and taking a stance against that, and we're doing it because he did, because he told us to, because we love him. So we're doing what he told us to, and they don't like it. They don't like him because we're doing it. They don't like us. And what can they do to us? They have the organizations, they have the money, they have the connections, they have the everything, okay? And they're making life hard for us. They're isolating us. Anybody who does like us, because they're stalking us, they'll see anybody who is helping us out, and they'll go up to that person when, once we leave, they'll come around the corner and, hey, so you hanging out with that sister? Well, listen, dude, I know she seems like, a righteous person. Are you hanging out with that brother? Oh, he looked cool and everything, but no, you don't know, man. And see, now I Gentiles, it's a little different, but I know amongst Hebrews, okay, black folk, we can be really effective at that. That's something that we can do. We can do some gaslighting in a serious way. Okay, we know how it's done. We just get that certain tone in our voice, get that certain posture, get that look on our face, and whoever we do this to, that person, if they don't have that inner strength, if they don't have the wherewithal to say, why are you talking to me about this? Why are you waiting until she go around the corner to say something about her? What's she gonna do? What would he do if she were standing right here? Most people don't have that. Okay, so but again, we know what it's like. Okay, so they do that to us. Okay, but they're doing it because we are being righteous, because we are following the example. We are being guided by the light of the Messiah, and He is the light of the world. So the other thing I wanted to point out, when again, this is all from, like I said, you guys are all, your videos, you guys are helping me. It's all food for thought for me. But so this was just from the Badger Report. I mean, literally, he just did the Beatitudes, and in those two chapters in Matthew and in in Luke. And also, this brother, another brother, a brother in the faith, Gentile from Canada. His name is Brother Triumphant, and he did a video on faith. And again, it was just very inspiring. Just all these little, gems and jewels, that he was saying. That was just like, giving me ideas and thoughts. And so, I mean, it's just really helpful. And that's what I mean when I say them, our Almighty is a mighty Almighty, because He, is giving me, these different videos to help me out. So, I'm going to share insight that I have and help you out too. But so this is from the Apostle Paul, and this is in the book of Corinthians, Second Corinthians. And anyone who is familiar with him, with his ministry, knows that he was dealing with something that no one is really sure what it was, but he referred to it as a thorn in the flesh. Now, there are people who say that he suffered from some type of an illness, that it was like a reoccurring illness, chronic illness that he had. But then there are others, because of the way that it's worded, it feels almost like he was talking about being targeted or being gang stalked. Now, I know some of you might think, well, you come on, some of us, targeted individuals, we start seeing, targeting people, as if everybody and anybody who ever walked the face of the earth was targeted. I'm not saying that, but it has been going on for many, 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 many centuries. As I said in a previous video, I think that if we really truly if it were possible, we could see where this type of stuff has been going on since the flood. It's only now, here in the last days, that they have, pulled their resources together, because they're trying to create a one world, a new world order. And so they've pulled their resources together, and the people who were doing this kind of spiritual attacks on people, say in the Middle East, are now working in conjunction with people who are maybe doing it in Europe, so they have their little take on it. These guys have their little take on it. And the people in Asia or people in Africa, maybe they have their own little spin on it, and so they put it all together. I mean, this is what, some of the unintended consequences of maybe being in a culture that is referred to as a melting pot. I mean, it can provide, resources in many different areas. I mean, yes, it's cool to be in a culture that is a quote unquote melting pot where you have a lot of different ethnicities. That means you can eat a lot of cool foods. Okay, you can have a lot of cool different, holidays and little activities and parades and stuff. But on the darker side of things, these individuals, they can all pull their little resources together, and then throw in a little bit of the military, throw in a little bit of the government, these little, like, community, whatever, and you've got a great little program called gang stalking. Okay, sorry, just had to say that. But that's just the truth of it. So yeah, so when the way Paul talks, someone could say that might be a possibility too. Okay, simply because, and it starts in Second Corinthians. It's chapter 2, and it starts at verse. No, I'm sorry, Second Corinthians chapter 12, and it starts at verse 7. And he says, "And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan, to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure." So he's saying, basically, if you read back through this, basically, because of the miraculous conversion that he had, because of the strong revelations that he received, he was someone who was really powerful. He was very mighty in terms of spiritual blessings, in terms of spiritual gifts, and all that he was able to do. But he felt that one of the things that was being done to him to kind of balance things out, because he was so powerful, that there was a possibility that he could get conceited, that he could get a big head. So, in order to make sure that didn't happen, okay, he was saying that on a spiritual level, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, something that would be needling him, something that would be pricking him, something that would be jabbing into him. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? And what did he call his thorn in the flesh? He called it the messenger of Satan. And what is a messenger? A messenger is someone who delivers information. Okay, they deliver news. Okay, they go to this person, to wherever they've been sent, with whatever information they've been given to send, and they give it out to them. Now, because clearly the way this is worded, it's clear that this messenger, because it's of Satan, okay, this was not a messenger going around saying good things about Paul. This was not a messenger going around encouraging people to like Paul. This was a messenger who was going around doing things to lessen, okay, to defame him, to pull him down from possibly being on a pedestal. Okay, wouldn't that sound a little bit like the definition that I was given for a term called gaslighting? Hmm, Something to think about. At any rate, verse 8: "For this thing I besought the master thrice, that it might depart me." So he said, he 3 times he asked, okay, our master Yahushua to take it from him. And he said unto me, "My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." Okay, so what he received, the response that he got was, "My grace is enough for you. You can handle this. It's made, again, my strength is made perfect in weakness." Okay, clarifying. "Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of the Messiah may rest upon me. Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses, for the Messiah's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong." Okay, so there it is. I just wanted to share that. So he said that thorn in his flesh, which from what I just shared with you, we can, as targeted individuals, we can see where there is a possibility that some of the things that he went through was also being done to him, and that he, like we have, I know I'm not the only one who has literally gotten down on bended knee and begged the Most High to stop this nonsense, to make it go away, to help me understand how I can fight it, to just stop it, to just squelch it once and for all, and it never happened. Okay, it never happened, but I didn't give up. I didn't say I'm done with the Most High. I asked him to help me. He didn't help me, so I'm gonna just go and join the cheerleaders on the other team. No, I did not. Okay, I kept going because I started to recognize the hand of the Most High at work in my life, and I began to see where He was helping me out. Okay, so and I'm not the only one who's found that out either. So we keep plodding on, and we find different verses in the scriptures that help us. We have a conversation here and there which are rare and precious, where we get some insight, where we get some strength, and that helps us out. And we learn something. We learn a little bit about fasting, so we fast and we get a little bit more strength. We learn a little bit more about praises, and we write some praises and we get a little bit more strength. And then pretty soon 5 years have gone by, maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe 20, and lo and behold, we realize we're on the other side of this. Kind of. Okay? It still goes on, but, you know, we can look back and listen to someone who's just going into this, or who just is going through something and they just don't have it. And we have some insight that we can give them. And lo and behold, how is it that we have the insight? Gave, Given to us by the Most High. Hmm, interesting. And so this is what he says. He says again, therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in being in sicknesses, when they do things to us, they get us sick. He said he takes pleasure in that, and in reproaches, something that is a result, a byproduct of some of this gaslighting. When people are now looking at us funny and they don't trust us, and they start moving away from us. Okay, he says he takes pleasure in reproaches, in necessities, in being in a place of need. Okay, in being in a place of want, in persecutions, okay, being tormented, being messed with, being singled out at the job, okay, when people are making comments and snide innuendos and then glancing over in your direction, and you know what they're talking about, or when they're doing stuff to you on the bus, okay, or when they're doing stuff to you in the grocery store. He says he takes pleasure in that, okay, in distresses. Okay, in distresses. Now you think about that as a targeted individual. What have I already shared with you? You think it wasn't distressful walking down the street with a helicopter following me? Come on now. You think it wasn't distressful being in a unit where I kept hearing, and every time, what? You think it wasn't distressful realizing that the peephole in the door was turned around so that anybody walking by could creep up and look in the peephole and possibly see me doing something? Well, like I said, I dealt with that masking tape over the peephole situation solved. But you think that's not distressful? Paul saying he took pleasure in that. Why? Because he knows why it was being done. It was done by the enemy because they didn't like the success that he was having in spreading the good news of the Messiah, our Master, our King. Why is this happening for many of us? Okay, at the core, forget all this. Well, you did something bad, and bad things only happen to bad people. Oh, well, forget all that. That's the surface reason. That's what's being justified. That's the thing that is seen. Okay. But we look at the things that are not seen, because the things that are seen are temporary. But the things that are seen are temporary. The things that we've done in our past that they're using to justify why they're doing this to us. But the things that are not seen, those are the things that are eternal. Those are those spiritual blessings, those spiritual gifts, those spiritual strengths that we have that make us a threat. Those spiritual strengths, and abilities that get someone jealous of us. You know what I'm saying? Check that out. You do something wrong, okay, and your name goes on a list. Okay, and then X number of years later, you're all of a sudden dealing with some type of suffering and stress and being stalked and being mobbed and this and that and the other thing. But somebody else could do the same thing to them, but because they're a bit weaker, because they don't have any moral integrity, they ain't got no problem with it. They didn't put their name on the list. You did it too. Your name is on the list, and your life is miserable because of that. But what was the real reason behind it? It's a thing that's not seen. Okay, it's because of a strength that you have. It's because of an integrity that you have. It's because the Most High knows you, because a light that you have that shines in this darkness and it draws people to you. Okay, and you can be sent something via messenger, okay, to buffet you, but you can find strength in it because you know why it's happening. Okay, and isn't that weird? And that's just what this guy from Badger Report was saying. He was saying that these are blessings, that it's blessed are ye when men persecute you, when they separate themselves from you. Okay, interesting way to look at this. But I just wanted to share that, and I know I've rambled on. Sorry about that. I'm telling you, something that can be said of me. You could say a title for me while I call myself the editor in chief. Maybe somebody could call me Mouth Almighty, Words Everlasting. Okay, but at any rate, I just wanted to share that, and I hope that this is helpful to you. I hope that it inspires you and just pass it along, play it forward. Okay, shalom.